Okay, let's say you've chosen a statistics for action activity you'd like to use. What will you see when you open it up? We'll choose the activity Finding Newsworthy Data as an example. This is a short activity, meaning it will probably take 20 to 30 minutes. So you can do this as part of a community meeting or class, but it won't take up the whole time. All of our short activities have a cover sheet, like this one, with summary information. In the upper left, there's an overview of the activity and notes on when you might use it. This is the same as the activity description on the website. On the upper right is some practical information you'll need to prepare to lead the activity and about what materials you'll need. The important thing here is to see that there are actually 4 different versions of the same activity. All the instructions and prep for each version are the same, but you choose which version is closest to your own community's situation. We'll see what these different versions look like in just a minute. In the middle of the page are the activity steps, the facilitator instructions. All of our short activities follow a similar format. You launch the activity with a little background information. Then people get together and work in pairs or small groups. When they're done, you debrief. People report back and ask questions. Below the steps, there are some additional notes for the facilitator. Depending on the activity, this might tell you a little more about the different versions or about where people tend to get tripped up or where you might go to find more information. Finally, on the bottom right, there's a box with a graphic. In this case, it's a graphic that helps with a common confusion about percents. In other activities, you might find answers to activity questions here. So let's take a look at the activity itself. Like many of our activities, you give out a data set to the pairs or small groups, and you ask them to apply a set of strategies to that data set. In this case, there's a list of potentially newsworthy things they can look for in the data. If your group is struggling, we also provide some examples you can use to stimulate conversation. But if they can guess and come up with their own ideas first, they'll be more likely to remember how to do it on their own. Going back to the strategies page, we do provide the data set you saw, but these strategies are written so they can apply to any environmental test data. So, if you're ready to dive into your own data, you don't need to use the data we provide. With that said, we realize that not every data set is identical. We have 4 different versions here. So, we already saw test results, but we also have public health data, solid waste being trucked to a landfill, and pesticides on food. For each of these, the strategies are mostly the same, but they have been tweaked to account for the differences. So that's what most of our activities look like. But we have a few that don't follow that pattern. There are 3 workshops whose titles start with a first look. For example, this one is a first look at technical documents. There are longer workshops that might take 60 to 90 minutes. It's hard to fit all the facilitator information onto one page, so the first page is all the preps and materials. And the second page has the facilitator instructions for the workshop itself. Like the short activities, the first look workshops have different versions to choose from and the ability to use your own data. The big difference is that these first look workshops are designed for times when your group has lots of big questions and doesn't know where to start. After you do one of these workshops, you'll have a better idea of which of the short activities should come next. The section overviews can help that process along too. They each show how and why a group might move from a first look workshop into another activity. This one mentions our fact sheets, so let's take a look at one of those. We have fact sheets for some of the units that come up, like grams, liters, cubic meters. Each of these also comes with activity ideas. The activities aren't required, but they can be good for a group that really wants a hands-on experience. We also have fact sheets on the many limits and levels that you come across in environmental testing. for water, soil, air, health, and even for the equipment itself. These are really important to use as you interpret your data. If some test result is over the limit, you need to know what the limit is and what it means. These fact sheets are listed on their own because you can use them to support any of the other activities. And that's the overview of our activities. Thanks for watching, and let us know if you have any questions.